Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of the Londonderry View. Tonight we have with us Franz, who's running for Town Council, and we are just so happy to have you with us, Chad. Thank you for being here tonight.
Welcome. Yeah, no, thank you so much for the honor for being. It's such an honor to be here. So thank you.
No, so why don't you tell the audience why you're running, a little bit about yourself, and you've got 10 minutes.
All right, so 10 minutes. Let's start our watches. So thank you very much. As Sherry mentioned, my name's Chad Franz, and I am running for Town Council for the March 8th election. A little bit about me. I'm a retired Marine. I spent 16 years in the Marine Corps, was honorably discharged, medically retired, just because of a couple injuries I sustained overseas and stuff, and I'm here, thank goodness. But I really have a sense of community. Like, the military taught me a lot of things, and I relate a lot of that, and I'll get into kind of that a little bit later on, how some of those skills and lessons that I learned in combat and with working with the team and everything. But the reason why I'm running is I really feel that I have the ability to really work with the community and unite the community and bring us together as a team. I really see a lot of animosity, and especially, I get it's Facebook and everything, but a lot of discord and stuff, and I want to work and be an advocate for the taxpayers, for the residents of the community.
That's pretty well put, I'd say. Yeah. Very well done, yes. Boy, tell us a little bit about some of the things you've done in town.
Yeah, so I guess I can start out by saying how I got into local municipal politics. So I 3 years ago, I went into town hall and actually was talking to Sherry, and was a new resident to the community, and was sharing that I was a veteran and everything. And Sherry passed that very night. It was a Monday. That very night, the town council was meeting to maximize, increase the veteran tax exemption or benefit that we have. So the state of New Hampshire, just so for everyone knows, they have, the state says you can do either anywhere from $50 to $500 tax credit for being a veteran, and the town council shared that they were going to maximize up to that $500. So I was like, wow, what a great opportunity.
Timing.
The fact that, the council and the community really was willing to give that credit on property taxes. I was so grateful. So Sherry mentioned, she's like, oh yeah, well they're voting on it tonight. So I went down that night, and obviously everyone knows during public comment, I went up and I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank the council for doing that. And to me, freedom isn't free. We all gave something being in the military, whether it's physical or mental and stuff. And I'll get into that later on about, our public servants and how we need to really help with, making sure that they're safe mentally and physically and stuff, and providing the assets and the tools they need. But went down and just said thank you to the council, because
which meant a lot to them, I remember.
Yeah. But I had someone came up to me and was like, hey Chad, you ever thought about getting into politics? And I'm like, well, no, never in a million years. I'm not a politician. It's not me. I just got out of the military and was in recruiting and stuff. So I was like, sure. Heard about a spot on the budget committee, which I thought was pretty cool, because it was a mixture of both the town and the schools and the library, and can really kind of dig in deep. And I was like, well, if this is something I'm good at and something that I can really help people, because that's important to me, I think that would be a good place to be. So I was elected, won that election on the budget committee, which I was very grateful for. Had a first year, went through budget season, very eyes-opening, was crazy surprise.
I bet it was, yeah.
And it's been a whirlwind since. I've been the chair for the past 2 years of the budget committee, working through the budgets. We leaned up, manufacturing term, we leaned up, made a community services grant, which a lot of people don't know, that the town issues up to $50,000 for 501c3 nonprofits that residents of the community benefit from. And we had an old, antiquated way of having all the organizations come in and request the funds and stuff. And I was like, during COVID, why don't we kind of transition that to online? We put together a bunch of questions that we can ask the organizations, and the way we formulate and calculate how each one is getting, because like I said, we have $50,000 to disperse. The council's charged us to do that. Is the most fair and balanced, and everybody's input matters. One thing I want to kind of touch on real quick, if I can.
Sure.
I really see the importance of community involvement, community input, especially being in these positions. On the budget committee, I have really pushed to have 2 opportunities of public comment, because granted, a lot of people don't come to the meetings, unfortunately. But I really think, and I have a little saying, together we're better. And what does that mean? What does together we're better mean? And I think that there's some really amazing people in this community. And to solicit information, I don't have all the answers. I promise you I don't have all the answers. I'm humble enough to say that. But I think that with the team that we have in this community, we can come together and find a solution, any solution, and overcome any challenges. And that's what I mean by together we're better. Coming in a combat situation where our lives depended on each other as a team, we had to be a team. We are a team here. We are the team. We are a Londonderry. And as I touched on earlier, there's been a lot of clashing and conflict and everything. It's so important to me that we need to come together as a team. We're better than some of the silliness that's going on and the animosity. And I really believe in our community. I believe that we can come together and unite and do what's best for our team.
And be an example for our children too.
Absolutely.
All the little ones, because they're watching every move we make. Excellent, Chad.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the voters?
So I've served the community for the past 3 years. I've served our nation for 16 years, and I would be humbled and honored to continue that service as a town council. As I mentioned earlier, I'm really big on community involvement, and I want to make sure that we solicit that information. We've done a great job so far. I want to continue to improve on that. I know that the team up at Town Hall, with Kevin, and now with Mike Malaguti coming in. We have a good team. I want to continue to work with them to make sure that we have wise spending, that we're looking at all the options to make sure that we're getting the warranties that we need on facilities and structures and protecting the assets, because at the end of the day, the money that we receive is our money. It's taxpayer money, and I want to make sure that we're utilizing it in the most mindful way possible. Like I said, we can always get better. Know yourself and seek self-improvement is a big saying that I have, and I think that it's just so important to continue to push that. Another thing I want to touch on is just our water. Our water that has really crushed a lot of families in this community. And I'm all for holding those responsible that have done the harm and caused the harm that they have. We need to maximize the state and the federal resources that we have to hold those accountable. I want to find a solution as a team. I know there was the Water Task Force. I want to continue supporting those families that are affected. And everybody has a right to clean drinking water, and I want to make sure that we, again, utilize the state and the federal resources that we have, because the burden shouldn't be on you, shouldn't be on Sherry, shouldn't be on me. It should be on those that have wronged us.
You're right. And it affects so many families. We're one of them, our counselor, and so many families out there.
I mean, how many people have to go and get a 5-gallon water, get the deliveries of the water jugs and everything, and picking that up and putting it in the water jug and stuff, or the water holder and
where before you just take it over the faucet, we took it for granted, and now it's a gat to do your broccoli, whatever it is. So my gosh, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm really big. I know we're running out of time, but I just want to say that I'm super passionate for this community. I really want to work together as a team. I love this community. I know I've been here since 2018, but it seems like a lifetime, and I'm just honored. I would be honored to continue my service to work as a team with everyone. So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Chad. And I just love this. I think you should just hold that up. I just, I know I can't play favorite son, but I just love your sign and your
Thank you.
family. I mean, that just kind of says it all too.
A
So.
veteran fighting
Yeah,
for
I think that's really nice. Well, Chad, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. We wish you best of luck,
Yes.
and
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Good luck.
you. All right, thank you
Right.
so much.
And now we have Rachel Killian with us, and she's running for our school board in town. And Rachel, we're so happy to have you with us tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
It's going to be nice.
Why don't you tell the audience a little about yourself and why you decided to run?
Sounds great. So about 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to give back, and I wanted to use these skill sets that I have to make a positive impact on the community. I've been here for 7, almost 8 years, and have watched my son grow up in schools, in our schools, and I saw an opportunity. And so I started researching and learning more about what's internally going on in the schools, some of our data, some of our achievement scores, and our percentages of our special education services and our budget and how we spend it, and all of the intricacies of what the school board takes a look at. Essentially, with a $82 million budget, $83 million budget, each person on the board is accountable for about $18 million, give or take. So
Wow.
Right, if
you
you
kind of
break it
want to
down.
know what you're working with here.
Right.
I've lived in four different states, and in each state worked for the public school systems. I was a military wife, so we moved every couple of years, and it was great because I got to see all of the different approaches and techniques, all the different school boards and how they function. And one of the things that I noticed is that our board didn't have much of a faculty or administrator presence. We didn't really have a voice for people coming in and kind of celebrating, what's going on in our schools, and what do we need, what could we use to better our instruction. And then, of course, there was our big health crisis, and I found that we had some policies that are from 1989, and I found that concerning. We've grown triple since then in population, and I thought, well, maybe we need more representation for our schools. Maybe we need to open a charter commission so that we can take a look at our policies and make sure they're still serving the community.
1989.
1989.
That's a long
I did not
time.
realize
Yeah.
that.
It's quite some time,
That's when
and-
I was teaching there. That's a long time ago. Wow.
Yeah, really, it is. It's been a while. So I started looking into that, and I started really digging into what are the policies and how do they function, and what are the RSAs, and what does the board govern, and what, like the New Hampshire Constitution,
Right.
accordingly.
Right.
And I thought, I've been in education for 17 years. I could use basically the only skill sets that I have, which is in education, to do some good. And I didn't want to run 2 years ago because I still felt like I needed to learn more about how the district works, about the community, like just how things go.
Yeah.
Observe, watch.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't feel like you can walk in after not being present or not knowing, and then make informed decisions or have a history of what's going on. You don't want to make the same mistakes again.
Correct. Yeah.
So, pardon me, I watched as the
Low
throw the
budget.
table over.
Low budget here.
And I took the time to learn, and it was wonderful. I think there's we have some amazing faculty, we have some amazing administrators, and they have seriously held this community together the last year and a half. And but I also watched some top-down policies kind of trickle down and happen to them, and that shouldn't be happening. The school board is essentially the system of checks and balances with the district office. And not to say that they shouldn't get along or that there should be some adversarial relationship, but there is accountability there. Our district office is accountable to our school board, and that school board represents the community and our teachers and our
Right.
Right.
administrators. And if we don't have that balance, they lose their voice. So while we may get millions of extra dollars in aid, how we spend it, if they're not getting input, doesn't really help.
Right.
That we may think as a district office that oh, this is going to be amazing for them, but that wasn't necessarily what would be amazing for them. So I think that's a really important thing. Plus, with only 5 board members, I think we're missing some pieces of our community. I think we're missing some of our demographics with just 5. I think we might benefit from another seat or 2.
Interesting. Huh.
Where you have your chairperson who should be abstaining from opinion unless her vote or his vote would change the way the vote goes. That's Robert's rules. That chairperson is supposed to be as impartial as possible.
Right.
So you have the chair, and that leaves 6 seats. 2 to be administrator and faculty liaisons, but truly be liaisons, people that they trust, that they can speak to, that they can voice and ask for things through back and forth. Someone that's smart and capable of, buildings and site work, and how do we maintain things, and how do we rebuild and upbuild and expand as we continue to expand, assuming that, things go in phases and we are losing attendance now, but we likely will creep back up in a couple of years. Yeah. And then another person who is just finance. We need someone that can audit our books, that can make sure that our spending is appropriate, so that we can keep our taxes down. We've got a lot of community members that are on fixed income, and we have to do right by them while serving our students. So it's very important to find that balance. So that's 5 people. And then I imagine another seat dedicated to special education services. Making sure that we have a parent-faculty representation of that special education department, what they need, what the parents experience, how we can do better. And then I would love to have someone that is a grant writer. There's a lot of federal and state aid out there that we're just not taking advantage of. And I think that person could also be our core communications site, where there's a center of communications that goes out, not just in like an ad, but that is truly the central communication. This is what's happened at the last board meeting. Here's when our next meeting is. Let's engage. I think that there's plenty of work to go around, and I think 7 people may help us do better.
Right.
So that's an exciting thought. I haven't heard that before.
Yes. Yeah. And it is an option when you reopen a full charter commission. That is an option. So, with all of the new bills coming through right now, particularly pertaining to education, I know that one's being discussed right now that would no longer require art, music, PE, kind of all of the extracurriculars. And some people are taking that as they're not going to have that anymore. But what's happening is the state is seeing that our achievement at 50 and 63% respectively for reading and math is struggling. So when they force buildings to use X amount of time for those things in X amount of very prescribed manner, the building doesn't have the flexibility to maybe add an extra 15 minutes to your math or reading block, or maybe add 15, 20 minutes to your science and social studies block. A lot of extra stuff has been thrown into our curriculum over the years, and I would never support, personally, losing our music, our art, our PE.
Well, that helps children to become more well-rounded.
Absolutely, and experiencing, and not everybody loves PE, but you know what, it's good for you to figure it out, have a little chance.
Right, and to try music and decide, they might have it in their head, they want to be a rock star until they actually take a music class, and be like, oh yeah, this is harder than I thought it would be, and it's not my thing,
Exactly. I would never, ever, ever support taking that from students. That is part of the whole child. That is part of development. It is key and essential. But I also love less government telling us what we need in our schools.
Yeah.
So I very much want our building administrators, they're professionals, they're prepared, they're capable. They need to have building autonomy to decide what time we spend on what things and have less kind of push from our state kind of telling them what they have to do. I think it's pretty important to give them that autonomy. So.
And they know our children, our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've spent a bunch of time, this week I've been in 2 of our buildings for about 2 hours. And it's like, it brings back this rush of excitement to hear like the first grade hallway or like the high school, just watching the classrooms exchange. Kids love being in school. and we need to make sure that remains a place where there's safety, structure, excitement, challenges, and support. That's just, it's important for them in order to continue to grow and be well-rounded.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have to wrap it up. We are up to our 10-minute mark. So thank you very much for coming on.
Would you like a final
Giving your
little,
viewpoints
a few seconds to just kind of say anything to the
Sure.
audience?
to the voters?
Sure. I would love to earn your trust and your vote this year. I'd love to be your advocate and protect your tax dollars while continuing to serve our teachers and administrators and doing what's best for our students and striking that balance as we move into this new kind of turnover in our district over the next 2 years with new leadership.
Thank you. Thank
you
Rachel.
very much.
It was
Thank you.
We really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. Tim Porter is with us tonight. He's running for our school board here in town, and we are just so grateful to have you with us tonight, Tim. So thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kathy.
So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run?
Okay. I am asked all the time why I'm running. For those of you that don't know me, I grew up here in town, and my whole family's still here. I have 4 brothers, and we all very much enjoyed our time coming up in Londonderry. My parents are still here. They moved here in 1978. And they moved here for the similar reasons that we moved back here, because it's a great small town community. And my wife and I decided to come back to town after we had lived in Manchester right after we got married, because it was cheaper to live in Manchester. But we knew that Londonderry was the community where we wanted to raise our kids. So we have a lot of roots here. I have 3 kids in the district right now. I have 2 at Matthew Thornton, a 5th grader and a 3rd grader, and my youngest daughter is at Moose Hill. And I also have multiple nieces and nephews, because I said my brothers are all still here too. At Matthew Thornton, North School, Middle School. My parents are still here. My wife's parents are still here.
It's a family affair.
Yes, very much
love
so.
that.
So I, needless to say, I have a very vested interest in making sure that the kids get the best education possible out of our schools. It's literally the reason that we focused on coming back to town and settling our roots here. So that's the main reason I'm running. I will say that what got me involved with the school board in particular was everything that we were dealing with COVID. I admittedly was ignorant and passive to most of what was going on with the school administration and whatnot before all of that came to pass in March of 2020. Started paying attention through those online videos that we were all watching as that
the
transpired.
Zoom classes.
Yes, as we all got used to Zoom. And as all of us became teachers in town.
That's well put.
And we all realized by the summer of 20 just how much that didn't work. I tell people that the worst teacher these people had was Mr. Porter.
Oh my gosh.
Because those 3 months at the end of 2020 was a struggle for everyone.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the fall of 2020, when the kids were back at school, and there was a particular board meeting that I attended where it got somewhat contentious because they were talking about sending the kids back to remote learning. And to me, it didn't make any sense to do it ahead of time, just because we already knew from our experience in the spring of 2020 how remote learning just simply didn't work, and the results were terrible for everyone. So to, in my opinion, jump the gun and throw them back into that for another 2-month period didn't make any sense to me without the evidence to support it, and it seemed very much to fall on deaf ears with the current board that was in place. And so that triggered me to start digging in a little bit more. And I started paying more attention, attending more of the meetings all throughout, basically since then. I've been trying to be involved as much as possible in the board meetings and throughout the summer of 2021. And as I paid more attention, I was noticing more of the details when it comes to the budget and the other intricate details that usually go by the wayside. And given my background in finance, that's kind of what stuck out to me. I was like, well, we keep seeing the budget go up and up and up and up.
Right.
And yet the enrollment for the district
Is going
is
down.
going way down. And literally, if we go back to, say, 2003, we had around 5,700 kids enrolled in our district. And now we're down to under 4,200.
Wow, that's a big drop.
But our budget has gone from in the mid 40 millions, and this year we're looking at one that's over $83 million. So
You have to wonder why.
when you see that type of disparity, along with the fact that, and the next question logically is, okay, if we're paying for this, what are we paying for? What are the
Right,
results
what are you
that we're
getting? Yeah.
And to see that the proficiency standards are not going up, in fact, they're trending in the other way. Granted, obviously some of that occurred because of what happened with COVID, but it was already trending in the wrong direction as it was. So I guess I should say explain how I hope to help with something like
Sure.
that.
Right, absolutely.
Because that's the next question. I go, why are you running, and then why would you be a fit to help?
Right,
do
what
something
what is
about
it you're
Outlined
gonna,
it well,
what's,
So-
what's your plan? Yeah.
So my resume is not in education. I explained how I had a vested interest in seeing the education be there for my kids, but as far as how I can help, it's twofold when you're talking about a school board, because yes, you have to focus on making sure the education and the curriculum is there, it's appropriate for kids, but you also have, as I just said, an $83 million budget of taxpayer money that you have to be responsible for. And each of the members of the school board should view it as individually they're responsible for approximately $17 million. So if you think of that responsibility, it's something that it's literally my job to do that for people, to handle their money and take it above my own interests to make sure that I'm caring for it. And allocating the resources in the most efficient way possible. So that's literally what I do each day, and it's what I've done for the last 20 years, is help people with their life savings that they entrust me with. So I just thought that that was a natural fit, to have an outside perspective that's focused on finance. I think it's important to have that balance on the board. And it shouldn't all be people that are focused on finance,
Right,
and you
good
see
point.
things go by the wayside.
Right.
But you should have a balance, and I think that me being put on the board would help bring that. And I was encouraged once I brought that up to people that that makes a lot of sense to have someone that's focused on finance on
Right.
there, but is also very much emotionally invested
Right.
in what
Oh,
happens
right.
with our
Parts
school
of it,
district.
right.
Right.
I take pride in having the kids go through the same school district that I grew up in.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, regardless of the means of being able to send them private, it's not what I wanted. I love it when they're on the school teams that I try and help with, and I see Londonderry across their chest. It's what I always wanted for them. And now that they're getting more involved with the schools, they're on those teams, and I try and help out wherever I can. But this was another area where I felt like I could be of service to them. So that's the long and short of it. I mean, the other thing I'd touch on is just in the nature of my job, what I referenced with the disjointedness of the school board versus listening to the parents back in November of 2020. The nature of my job is to always be listening to my clients and when they come in
Right.
and talk to me, and rolling with the punches and rolling with the changes as things happen, because things always change. No one's ever the same 1 year to the next.
Right.
Things are always changing in people's lives. Regulations are always changing with what we're dealing with.
Point.
So I'm used to rolling with those changes. And the most important thing I do in my job is listen to people as they're bringing these things to me. And I feel like that's been lost a lot of the time as we're talking to the board from the audience and in these meetings. And not only that, but seeing the disjointedness between the board and even the district office. And there's some times where the board needs to step in if they see something's not quite right, and voicing it instead of just being a rubber stamp for what is happening in the district office. It's part of their responsibility.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to listen, willing to adapt to the changes, but I'm also willing to speak up when I see something just doesn't seem right.
Right.
And that's why I brought up the example of when it didn't seem right of what was happening with
Yeah.
going back to remote learning. It just didn't make any sense to me. But no, they literally said on the board they weren't willing to question what the district office was saying.
Wow.
And I just didn't think it was right.
No, I agree with you.
No, my goodness, you said that very well.
You know, you're representing, the townspeople.
And they're counting on you when you're on the school. We're
Yeah.
counting
Yeah, it's
on
literally
you.
in
We're
the school
counting-
charter.
Yes.
And their children are dependent on that.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're a voice of the people when you're a member of the
just-
school board.
yeah.
Yeah, and being able to listen and take everything in and process quickly, which I know you can, everything that's being said, and then what's best for the families, our families, the children,
Yeah.
going forward in the future too.
Yeah, we all want to see them do
Oh
well.
my
We all have their
gosh.
best interests in mind. It's just a matter of
Yeah,
how we get there.
that's-
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say? We have a few seconds left to the
No,
voters.
please just make sure you get out and vote on March 8th. Vote for Tim Porter for school board. I'm running for this 2-year seat, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you
you
so
for coming
much.
on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very
I
much,
appreciate it.
Tim. Ron Dunn is here with us tonight, and Ron is running for the Budget Committee here in Londonderry, and we are just appreciate your being with us,
Thank
and
you.
so that we can share with the residents a little bit about yourself. And
Yeah, thank you for coming, and you can tell our viewers about yourself and why you decided to run.
Excellent. Thank you both for
thank you,
inviting
Ron.
me here.
Thank you.
My name is Ron Dunn. I'm running for Budget Committee. Please come out and vote on March 8th and support me. I grew up in Plymouth, New Hampshire, went to the University of New Hampshire, went to Boston for 17 years for work, met my wife Cara while I was living in Boston. In 2012, we decided that we'd had enough of the city life, and we were looking for a place to move back to New Hampshire. We found Londonderry. 2013, we moved here. I've been happy ever since. I am a graduate of Leadership Londonderry 2021. Pollyann and Mark do a fabulous job with the program. If anybody would like to do the program, I highly recommend it. I'm currently on the Solid Waste Committee here in town. I'm a member of the National PFAS Coalition, and I was just appointed to the New Hampshire PFAS Study Committee at the last town council meeting. What got me started in local politics was PFAS and taxes. The PFAS issue we started in 2013 with my family. The DES came to our house and they tested our water, and it was high. Between 2017 and 2019, we were kind of figuring out what to do, and then they signed the consent decree, and St. Cobain started paying for bottled water for us.
Us too.
So in 2019, we've been on bottled water ever since then. So that got me passionate about trying to see what I can do in government to make things change and speed things up. And things do change, they just change slowly. And then as far as taxes, anyone that was at the last town council meeting knows that people in town are very passionate about
Right.
their evaluation and about their tax bill. So I'd like to see what I can do on the budget committee to see how I can impact, so what we can do to help people, help the elderly people that have a home here, stay here.
Because they want to stay here.
They
Yes,
want-
because they want to
Right,
stay here,
that-
right, yeah.
You're right, because that's sometimes
Yeah.
something we can't ever forget.
Right.
It's good
Yeah,
you brought that up.
They want to stay in their homes.
But
Right.
sometimes they get outpriced because
Yeah,
of the way it
I-
is.
I know
Yeah.
my wife and I know a couple of people that their tax bill is getting so high that they can't afford it.
to live here, yeah.
But if they sell their house,
Where do they go?
Where do they go?
They
Yeah.
can't move back in
Yeah,
Londonderry. Yeah,
right.
so
No, you're
so we want to
absolutely
see
right.
what we can do, and that the last meeting, some of the things that were mentioned that we can and can't do, maybe we can work with the town council, with the school committee to hopefully maybe reduce some of the taxes. Maybe
Right,
see what we can
yeah.
do.
Bring
Um,
awareness.
Yeah. Why am I running? I think the budget committee gives you the ability to advise the town council, the school committee, the town manager, and the superintendent on budgeting issues, helps them look for grants, helps them find new ways maybe to find money to spend, different ways that you can get money from federal government or from other sources that are out there. Like right now, Londonderry is eligible for some money for PFAS remediation from a bill that was just went through Congress. So I'm hoping that we can write a grant and get some of that money to help us with whatever we decide to do as a town, whether it's, do individual water systems for
Water
homes
systems,
or
right.
bring the water thing in. It at least will help us alleviate the taxpayer from the burden.
Right.
of it.
Some of those costs.
Yes.
Right.
So that's why I am running. I'm hoping that I can advise them on things to do, things that we can do better. So see what money there is out there. And that is what I have so far.
You did a great job, and I like that you like your direction that you take. Because Leadership Londonderry, it's nice that you gave them a shout out. Phenomenal program, and it's people that are somewhat new to the community years ago, and you're learning about all of the options and all of our committees and what the town clerk does, what the town manager, director of the senior center, because it's like everyone's worlds. We really don't know unless you have that opportunity to hear and listen.
Right.
So it's nice that you've explored all of that. I know you're at a lot of the different meetings in town all the time,
I try
listening,
to go to
asking
every
good
town council meeting I
questions.
can. So
Yes.
yeah, I try.
No,
And that's how we've gotten volunteers, was from that program, from
Truly.
different committees in town.
Yeah. I think that Pauline and Mark do a great job. They give them a
really
shout out because they're volunteering their time
They
too.
are. You're
So,
absolutely
but
right.
it's great, and if like I said, anyone that wants to do it, I recommend it. We had the abbreviated one because half of ours was on
that's
Zoom
right.
and half was live. So it's like,
With COVID,
but at least we got the fire department and the
That's
police
right,
department in
yeah.
for a live train. But so that was like a little bit abbreviated, but I highly recommend it. Yeah,
No, that's
for anybody that
excellent.
just to do that.
And getting a feel for the community that way too.
Yes,
And,
absolutely,
asking good questions, all of those things.
absolutely.
You know, and I hadn't really thought with the budget committee, but it's true. It's the one place where you're really working with everyone, the
everyone.
school board,
Yeah.
the town council, but then you the superintendent, the town manager, and really holding everyone accountable in a positive, let's learn together, let's
Right.
ask good
Yeah.
questions way.
That's a good way to
That
put
was,
it,
yeah,
Sherry.
it really is.
Yeah.
It's just a great place to learn and to share your knowledge. You've been in business, I know,
Yes.
Ron, for
Yep.
many, many years, and bring that back to the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do, I obviously want to. My wife and I are here for. This is our home. This is where we want to stay.
Nice.
So we're very happy here. People here are great. It's a great community. We can always if we could just somehow find a way to keep everybody here.
Yes,
because
yeah.
I know some people right now are struggling.
There's a
with
lot of
the-
seniors that are struggling.
Absolutely.
And since I work with the seniors, and
Yep.
you hear them talking,
Yeah.
or some will come to me and complain about something, and you feel bad, you can't help them,
Right.
Or they'll leave us and go to Derry that has more options, or Manchester.
There's a lot I get that are looking for subsidized housing,
And that's
and we
really-
don't have that here in Londonderry.
Right.
But thanks to you, Kathy, we do have some
Well, we have
wonderful, at Sanborn Road, and we do have some beautiful options.
That is not subsidized, but it is
But it's
a
lower.
a lower
It's
cost
allowed,
Yeah.
for them. Yeah.
And, and a nice, safe environment, and so
Right.
thank you for that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
makes a big difference. And then too, like thinking about what you've got us thinking about, the one end is our seniors, getting them to be able to stay, or new seniors to come in, but then thinking, of the teenagers that we want to stay in town
Right.
and
Right.
not leave, and we want them to come back and bring their businesses here and help the community grow. And we've got to make it affordable for them too, because right now, the
That's a
way
good
the
point.
market is, for young families,
I think at some
very
point,
tough.
It's a very good
I
point.
think
Yeah.
at some point this housing market's just going to burst,
Oh, I
and
know.
the prices are going to go back down again. But with everything else, with the inflation
Yeah.
rate being, what is it they say, like the highest in 40
Yeah.
years.
Yes, my
40
gosh.
years.
Right.
It's at its highest right now. So, and it just hits every aspect. It's not just
right.
at the gas pump, and it's not just at the food store.
Right.
It's
It's
everywhere.
everything.
Absolutely.
We had just, we're building a house in
Oh.
North Carolina,
Okay.
and we were quoted $2,000 for homeowners insurance. Well, since the house is still under construction, so we didn't have to take a policy out just yet, but now they've come back and said $4,000.
Oh.
Oh my
So, of
gosh,
course, we're going to shop
Kathy.
around, but
Yeah.
it's because of inflation, because if they had to replace the house, the cost of
Oh
everything
my
else is
gosh,
so high,
right.
Right.
It's
that's
changed.
why it's higher now just for an insurance policy.
Oh my God.
It's, you have to see, it
Everywhere.
hits every little
does.
Oh my
thing. It's not
goodness.
just your in the face
No.
food store, gas station thing, it's,
Yeah.
you gotta
Every
see
aspect
every
of it,
aspect.
And you
yeah.
mentioned young people. That's one thing that's hard too.
Yes.
Is a lot of people are selling their homes in Massachusetts, coming up here with cash.
Yeah,
So they
They
don't have
can't-
to get a mortgage.
right.
So if you're a seller and you've got a choice between someone with a mortgage or someone paying you cash,
Yep.
You're going to take the cash
Cash.
person.
Oh, yeah.
Ron,
know,
I hear it
you
all
can
the
sell-
time in,
yeah.
in my office.
So-
People and then
So,
and
you know, you
the
get-
30 people bidding on
Right.
one
Yeah.
house, and remember they
Right.
used to take letters, like you could write
Yeah.
a heartfelt letter
Right.
about. And then recently, someone told me now they don't even want you to do
Right.
that because then the playing field isn't quite as even and it's quick. But 30
Yeah.
people on one home
Yeah.
and cash, you're right.
Right.
And people come up here and have said to me often that the prices are so much. Oh, the prices are low here because they just sold something
know.
in Mass.
In
And I
Massachusetts,
think,
yeah.
oh, low. I mean, my gosh. I mean, we could never afford to buy something right now. You
Right.
know, you brought up a lot of good
Yeah.
points. You really did. Yeah. And I know Kathy's
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah, so if you have anything else that you'd like to say to the
Little
voters,
shout out
we have
to
a couple
them.
seconds left.
Yep. I'd just like to say my name's Ron Dunn. Come out on March 8th and vote for me for Budget Committee. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Perfect.
Great,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, my God. And now we have with us Amanda Butcher, and she's running for our school board here in Londonderry. And we really are welcome you and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming on, and you can tell the viewers about yourself and why you decided to run.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I have lived in town for about 8 years, and I am an educator. So I started my career about 15 years ago. I worked as a paraprofessional in schools. I worked in out-of-district placement, and I worked my way through grad school to become an educational behavioral consultant and what's called a BCBA. So I'm certified in applied behavior analysis. So working in schools in the last couple of years has been
Oh my goodness.
A
Something I never
challenge,
could have
a little bit of a
dreamed
challenge.
of. right, when you
exactly,
first-
yes,
Ah.
absolutely. And it's been a challenge, and to see the morale being on the lower side with teachers, and I think the saddest part of all of this has been the division in our community. And we do have a great community, and in the past couple weeks, we've gone out to a lot of the different schools and towns and talked to the administrators and the educators about what they're doing. And there's still a lot of good things happening here
Yes, there are.
that need to be celebrated, because the fact that they're not getting celebrated is really burning everyone out. So I'm really hoping to bring some positivity, some good communication, collaboration. I think everyone's shouting because they want to be heard. And it's important that everyone is heard and has a voice. But we also need to figure out how we're going to move forward as a community. So that's why I'm here.
Because you can't hear when people are shouting and being rude with their, we've got to be able to hear and we've got to be able to listen. And that very well said.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, my goodness,
Yeah.
boy. So, and you've been in the community 8 years.
Yep. So
Which is-
yeah, I'm actually originally from Derry. I know that's a deal breaker for some.
No, I started out there too.
But you live here now.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I went to
So-
Pinkerton.
So did I.
Yeah. Oh,
There we
awesome.
go,
I'm a
but
fellow
many-
Astro.
I'm sure just a couple of years in between,
Yeah.
but
Just a
yeah,
few,
just a
Chef.
few,
Just a
just a
few.
couple of years. I remember you from there, no.
Yeah.
But Astros,
Same.
that's right.
Yeah, but we started house hunting once we had kids, and we really fell in love with not only the town but the schools, and raised our kids here since they were babies. We are super involved in sports in the community. My husband coaches baseball, and I, like many moms here in Londonderry, I'm a professional chauffeur. We have dinner in plastic bags at
There you
LAFA
go.
quite often. And we've had great experiences here. My kids are in 5th and 3rd grade.
Oh, I was just going to ask. Oh,
Yeah.
5th and 3rd.
So we've had, they're both at North School. We've had the most amazing experience there. Everyone gives 110%. They're really cared for when they're at school.
Oh,
So we just really want to see that continue and make sure that our administrators and our teachers have the support that they need
Right.
to move forward, because we did miss quite a bit of instructional time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
we really
How did you handle that with your kids with Zoom?
Yeah,
class?
it was crazy, because I was also learning simultaneously as an educator. So I was forced.
Goodness.
We had
Oh.
like 3 different computers going at the same time, and like dogs barking, and
Oh.
it is what it is. But I think what I'm hearing from a lot of teachers is that with that amount of time, we're a little behind, and we really want to make sure that the kids have the skills they need to succeed. But you can't necessarily make up for that lost time overnight, and just looking at the prerequisite skills for the curriculum delivery,
Right.
and making sure that those learning to learn skills are there before we start really, we want to, before we hammer the academics,
Right.
right? So there's a balance. We want them to get whatever they need in reading, writing, and math, but we also need to have them be able to sit and attend to the teacher and things like that too.
Right.
So
They're finding more behavioral issues with children, I think, now because of having to wear the masks and, you know, not being able to hear correctly. I was reading an article, I forget where it was, but they were talking about with the children, they weren't pronouncing their letters correctly because they couldn't hear if the teacher was saying like P or B.
yep,
You know,
absolutely.
with the masks on. And it just
Boy.
adds to the frustration of the children, you know.
And the parents,
And
right?
the parents,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
because then
right.
if the kids aren't doing well and you know, the parents are frustrated, it's a bad
Such a
situation.
different time, you know, with our children all
is.
being grown.
Thank
and
God.
I can't imagine.
Thank God they're
Oh,
out of
my
school.
hat goes off to the parents, the children,
I
the
could
teachers,
not do it now,
the,
yeah.
you know, administration. It's just, and the school board, you know.
Yep,
and that,
absolutely. It's
and-
not been easy
Oh,
for
my
it's not been easy for
goodness.
anyone. And you
No.
know, working in special ed and trying to teach kids language skills, the masks were super challenging,
Yeah.
right? And I'm really happy that we're moving towards a time where
Right.
that's not as necessary anymore.
Right.
Hopefully that's the way it's looking, right? But it's also a lot of behavior surrounding giving academic instructions that are outside of the academic range. So you're presenting things
Right.
that are hard,
Yeah.
and that's when we see a ton of behavior, because when you feel unsuccessful as a learner,
Right.
you're gonna have those acting out responses, right? So
Right.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head too, is in terms of like, it's just been so rough on everybody. And I think something that we all really need to recognize is that no one did this, you know, it just kind of happened. And we all suffered in different ways, you know. Some people really suffered because of mask wearing, and some people lost loved ones. And it's really, everyone has something very valid to you know, feel with
Yeah.
regard to it. And I just think that whereas we're kind of hopefully moving out of it, that if we all could focus on moving forward and what we could do, I think that that's probably the best direction for us as a community. And I'd really like to see us become reunited.
What a great message. I
Yeah.
think that is so important, the positivity, and you just said it beautifully. I wish I could say it back, but the idea that, you know, that we have to remember that no one person we did this to us. It's just something that happened, like it happened back in 1920 with the Spanish flu.
Right.
It's just something that is here that we all in
Have to
one
deal
way
with around
have
the
to
world.
Deal with.
Yeah.
We didn't do it to each other.
And we learned as we went.
Well,
You know,
yes.
we all reacted when it happened, and over
Exactly,
time,
right.
over time you learn more about it, right?
Right.
But
And how to manage things differently.
Right, in a positive way,
Yeah.
without blaming, without screaming.
Yeah.
You know, moving forward for the kids and the community, and you said that very well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I said to someone the other day, I was like, there's no master's degree in navigating a pandemic. You know, there's
my
no town
goodness,
operations
right,
certification.
no.
and
Yeah, there's no manual
there
to
really
follow.
isn't.
Yeah.
So what everyone ended up doing was kind of joining together and looking at what everyone else was doing and looking at logistics, you know, and that's the big thing is we want to keep people safe. We want people to learn. Kids need to be in school in person to learn. I think we've all learned
Yes,
that,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so we have those things now. So I want to just focus on the future
Right.
and moving forward. I think.
Yeah, the idea that you can't do it. My husband always says, you can't do anything about the past, but I can work on and change the future.
future.
Yeah, and we
you
don't
know?
agree on the past. You
Right,
know,
exactly.
we know we don't agree.
Yeah.
Nope,
That's it,
you know,
exactly.
and
so why beat that horse?
right. But our kids are
Yeah.
all going to go to school together,
That's right.
and we're all going to be at ball fields together.
Yeah.
And it's time
You're
to
right, yeah.
it's time
Unite.
to yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And so that was very well put.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
Thank you for being willing to run. too,
Yeah, of
you
course,
know.
So is
definitely.
there any last words you'd like to say to the viewers, your voters?
Just that I feel like I have a really good perspective in terms of being a parent. Obviously, that's gone through all of this. I obviously live here, so but also kind of working in schools and seeing what administrators are dealing with on a daily basis and what teachers need to succeed, and having that experience. In my position, I work across various districts in New Hampshire, so I've really had the opportunity to see what goes well, but also what's not gone well. And I think that could really aid me in my position in terms of not only being objective, but also considering the viewpoints of all the people involved, because there's a lot of players in this. So.
They really are. Well, thank you. We learned a lot too.
We
The
did,
The
we did,
behavioral
yeah.
aspect of it and all. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for being with us.
Thank you for coming
Amanda.
on tonight.
Yeah,
We
thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me. It was
Thank
really nice to
This
meet you
was
guys.
great. Thank you. You know, and in closing for this evening, we'd like to just ask that mark your calendar now for March 8th. Please come out and vote. All these wonderful candidates that are here taking a risk, willing to put themselves out there, they need your votes. They need you to speak with your feet. If you're going to be away, the absentee ballot process is available, but please vote. There's nothing more important in elections in your town. Vote small, vote in your town. And someone recently said that to me, and please, we need more than 2,000 voters to come out this time, or 3,000 in the last couple years. If we had 17,000 for the presidential, we can do that again. So please, March 8th, we polls open at 6, they close at 8, and we really would love to see you all there for your
Seniors, we need seniors. You need to
Seniors.
get out and vote.
town. Perfect.
And I don't
Kathy.
want to hear anyone complain about anything. If you didn't go out and vote, you have nothing to complain about.
Very well put. And if you have any questions, we're all there for you around the town. Lots of good people working for the town and school that can answer questions for you too. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night.